All right, we are live for the On the Hunt podcast. My name's Elijah Winfrey. Joining me on the broadcast tonight, you know these fellas. You've been with them all season long. In fact, 2 seasons worth of Detroit Lions
Yeah.
coverage. Want to say a good evening to the number one Lions fan, you know, Mr. Bobby Bless. Bobby, how's it going, man?
I was going good, man. Believe it or not, people think I'm crazy. I ain't all that down, but I was disappointed, but down, not
Either.
so much. And the main reason why, because we got a lot of stuff to be thankful for. It said right there on my little screen, but we're gonna talk about that more as it go. How about you, Nate? How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm good. Like I say, man, I'm not that down at all, man. Like, I'm bummed about it as anybody would be, when we didn't get the Super Bowl. But man, when I look at the amount of achievements that this team has had and literally in just 3 years, dog, how can you not smile about it? You know what I mean? And just think about how bright our future is. Our schedule's already out. I've already got us down for 11 wins. So it's like, I'm good, man. I am good, Eli.
So I think it's important that we start the show off kind of how we started out the first episode here of season two, because tonight is the final episode of season two. So we started out this year talking about expectations. You know, we had went 9-8 the year prior, 3-13-1 the year before that. And this season, we started out talking about what are the expectations for this team, realistic expectations. And I just want to remind everybody of what we said back then. Okay. So this was prior to the draft. All right. This was prior to all of that. It was just straight up expectations. Okay. I believe for me, I was saying get into the playoffs, win a playoff game. That's where I wanted to be. Get in the playoffs, win a playoff game, see what happens after that. I'm pretty sure Nate and Bobby said the same thing. And Bobby, I'll just have you move to the side for me for a second so I can read this out to folks here. This is a beautiful graphic, by the way, that Bobby Bless made sure we had tonight. We ended up with 14 wins, 5 All Pros, 5 Pro Bowlers, 2 playoff victories. By the way, Ford Field undefeated as a facility in the playoffs, by the way, now. First playoff win in 32 years and first division title in 30 years. So I get why Nate and Bobby would say, you know what? I mean, it hurts a little bit because we were right there. We were 30 minutes away. But look at all we did. Look at all we accomplished this season as a team. I want to toss it over to Bobby Bless. Bobby, I know you love getting a hat every time the Lions win. You got the opportunity to get 14 hats this year, dude. I mean, that's been a long time since you've had the chance to get double-digit hats. So talk to the people. How you feeling about this year, man?
And you actually right, Elijah. And you know what? For once in a long time, I didn't have to cheat my system. Because you feel me, Nate? Because they get to
Oh,
losing too
yeah.
much. I'm gonna buy a hat just because, So they actually brought it home, and I was thinking a little bit earlier, just just thinking about what I was gonna say on the podcast and stuff. I can actually say, Nate, you know how I am. The fans deserve more. The fans deserve more. We got what we deserve now. They don't owe this year. This is the first time in a long time. And that's even counting last year's team that did pretty well. We didn't make the playoffs, but this team is the first time where I feel like I owe them. They don't owe me. I mean, they don't owe me this year. They did what they had to do. Um, they ended, like Elijah said, like the graphic says, man. We ended a lot of negative stuff with the Lions, and we only got one more to go now. And that's a good thing. We beat a lot of demons. We beat the Stafford demon. We actually won a playoff game. We won the division. Uh, we got a home game. Went to the NFC Championship, and you asked me back when we did the first episode of this season that we're gonna go to the NFC Championship. I'm pretty sure, like you were saying, we had all been like, whoa, 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 but hey, man, we lived it. It was a hell of a ride. Elijah?
Nate Rucker, obviously you and I are always on people about expectations. Okay. You and I talk about that all the time.
All the
Expectations,
time.
expectations. So I want to
Right.
give you the floor here for a minute, man, before I take the floor over for a couple minutes. Expectations, beginning of the season, how you feeling about everything at the end of this season? And a good evening, by the way, to comedian Shay B. Y'all leave your comments, that way we can interact with y'all right now. Nate, go ahead.
Well, first thing you got to look at, we have to look at expectations versus reality. That's the first key. And our expectations were reached, they were met, and they were passed upon. You know, we didn't we talked about taking the momentum from that 9-8 system, from that 9-8 year, and just making the playoffs. That's all we wanted to do. Let's see our growth. Let's see that this run that we had at the end of the year when we started 1-6, we end up finishing 9-8. We wanted to see that it was not a fluke. We wanted to see that this team was just that good. And guess what? We found out this team was just that good. We found out that these players believe in their coach. They coach believe in the players. We found out that all these guys truly bought into grit. They bought into that we not quitting attitude. They bought into that, hey, same old Lions, who the fuck is that? Like, all of us wasn't even here when this shit was happening. So that doesn't even apply to us. Let's make our own record. Let's make our own history. Let's start our own culture. Like, how can we be stuck with the same old Lions moniker and this bad culture that's been here if most of us wasn't even born? So how are we stuck with this? Like, let's stop letting the media give us this bad mojo and just play football, which is what they did. Same thing, like you say, when they would last year, when they started 1-6, and I kept telling them, hey, relax, chill out. Like, y'all people put the most and the highest expectations on something without even having a goal.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to start with a small goal, but you want to make it so that it's something that's obtainable. Then you can stack on top of that.
Right.
Which is what we did. And, Lions fans having PTSD, the Lions fans, starving for a winner, starving for something to cheer about, starving to go to other stadiums and take it over, which they did by leaps and bounds. Only thing you seen talked about was different stadiums. They was talking about the love of the fans and how many Lions fans. It's like that, man, when we went to Lambeau and at the end of it, the only thing you heard was "Let's go Lions."
Right.
in the cold. And then you go down to Tampa Bay and totally take over Raymond James Stadium. Then come home and protect Ford Field. Why? Come on now. So the expectations were met. They were passed. Guys reached milestones that I don't even think people seen or people expected. A lot of people had to eat a lot of crow, again, talking about Jahmyr Gibbs and where he was drafted. He went from the value of the running back being not where he was taken, him being taken too high, him not being better than Bijan, to, oh my God, Jahmyr Gibbs in the next 3 years is going to be an MVP candidate. The
Mhm.
Lions offense goes as Jahmyr Gibbs goes. Jahmyr Gibbs is scary. Fear Jahmyr that we started to reach worldwide.
Right.
From that to being a Pro Bowl alternate as a rookie. So, people had to eat crow. People really had to put some respect on Brad Holmes and shut the fuck up and let these guys do what they do. Because, hey, like you say, the first three letters in assumption is ass. And a lot of people was kissing it at the end of the year. Hey,
So-
like Brad Holmes' favorite sweater say, villain.
That's right.
I'll be the villain. That's good. Because somehow, when you think about this is crazy, Eli, and you being a producer, when you think about sequels,
Mhm.
or you think about movies that have been made they have 3-4 different remakes to it.
Yeah.
You've got Marvel 1, Marvel 2, all this. And one of the craziest things was the first Marvels, our enemy was Loki, was it not?
I believe so, yeah.
Yes, it was Loki. And then we get to 3. Now he's not even a villain.
Mhm.
Now he's an asset. Now he's a hero. When you look at Thor in Ragnarok, Loki's on the good side now. But he was a villain. So now like Brad Holmes said, it's okay. Y'all will come around and then y'all will give me my flowers.
Right.
And then y'all will shut up. And then y'all can go back and dog these mock draft analysts for me.
Mhm.
Which is what he did. So that's mine, man. On to you, Eli. The floor is yours, my dog.
So the fellas know what I'm about to say because I said it earlier in the week, but I'm not going to be as long-winded as I was when I was talking about it on my radio show in New York. A lot of that, by the way, was me having to explain to people in New York who don't watch the Lions history. Everybody watching this show knows Lions history, okay? So I'll do me a favor, everybody at home right now, if you're not doing something else, put your hands in the middle just like this, okay? Put your hands in the middle just like this. Because
Sweet baby Jesus.
at this point, the Lions can go one way or the other, okay? One way or the other. I'm going to start off with a statement, all right? History is in black and white. We know that. History is in black and white. You can go read it in a book somewhere, right? Or nowadays, you can go look it up on Google. But the thing about history that I find so interesting is the way that we talk about it. Because sometimes people can spin history in such a way that it'll either make you very hopeful for the future or it'll make you dread the future. And they can also make it to where you forget when certain things happen or how certain things happen. We don't talk about this team a lot, but I know Bobby Bless certainly knows about this team because his father's a fan. The Dallas Cowboys of the 90s. Now, I was born in 93, so some of this is because I didn't really live it, all right? But my entire life, whenever I would hear about the Dallas Cowboys of the 90s, they would make it sound like the Cowboys went from 1-15 one season to the very next season winning the Super Bowl. That's the way they would make it sound on television. Every time they would talk about it was worst to first. That's not how it happened, though. Here's how it actually happened for folks who don't know. In 1989, the Dallas Cowboys go 1-15. In 1990, the Dallas Cowboys go 7-9, still last place in their division, by the way. Then in 1991, they go 11-5. They win a playoff game, and then they lose to Barry Sanders and the Detroit Lions. Then after that, the 4th season of Jimmy Johnson with the Cowboys, they win the Super Bowl. Why do I bring that up? Look at the Lions. First year of Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, 3-13-1. Second year of Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, 9-8. This season, 14-6, and 30 minutes away from the Super Bowl. If you want to look at it like that, if you want something to make you hopeful, look at what the Cowboys did, because the Lions built their team pretty much the same way, right through the draft. So you could have the potential of a dynasty loading in Detroit. That's one way, that's one way this could go, okay? Now, because I am not somebody that just likes to give you the roses, I also give you the thorns. Here's the other way, okay? The other way is we become the Lions of the 2010s. Now, I can't spend a ton of time on this because we got other stuff to do tonight. But if you remember that time period, we're going to call it 2010 to 2015. There were some moments during that time frame where people were talking about the Lions and it wasn't all negative. Some people were saying, uh-oh, here come the Lions after we lost to New Orleans in the wild card round. And then whenever the Lions dropped that game to the Cowboys, that was very controversial, people said, okay, here come the Lions once again. They're just a couple pieces away, right? The problem with those teams, in my opinion, and there's a lot of things you can point to, right? That's a whole show in itself. But my problem is that they had injuries with their draft picks. Look at Jahvid Best, Mikel LaShore. That was supposed to be what Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery is. But Jahvid Best and Mikel LaShore never saw the field together, ever, even though they were drafted a year apart from each other. Go look up that whole thing if you want to. But you had injuries with the draft picks. You had other draft picks that didn't quite work out. You paid certain guys, not leaving money to pay other guys. And this is something that we've talked about on this show a lot, that now as we get to year 4 of Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, this is the next big test for them. How do you keep the band together, especially in today's NFL? And we all know Jared Goff is up for a contract, and I want to be very clear, as I feel like I have been for the last month. Jared Goff, to me, deserves a contract. He earned it. I said, I want to win consistently. Lions have won 22 out of their last 30 games. That's 73%. I said, win a playoff game. He won 2. The only thing he didn't do was win the Super Bowl, and he was 30 minutes away from getting there. So I'm good with them giving him a contract. But as we talked about on the last couple shows, the number's got to be right. The number has got to be right. But I do believe Jared Goff's going to come into that room having a similar opinion. The number's got to be right, and let's keep these guys around me. Because he's already lived the other option. He did that with the Rams, where he took the big old bag of money. And
Get upstairs, Luna.
Then saw what happened. Then saw what happened. He's going to come into this thing, I believe, and say, listen, I can't give you a discount per se because I earned it. Okay, I earned the money that you're going to pay me. But at the same time, I want to make sure this is structured in such a way where we don't have to lose everybody that got us here. The other good news is I was looking at our free agents. We don't have a ton of people coming up for contracts that were major contributors. A lot of the people were, special teams players or, here and there type guys, or they were injured for the majority of the season, like CJ Gardner-Johnson. I'm not saying he didn't contribute, but I'm saying he was injured for the majority of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to go one of two ways. Either you're going to have a dynasty loading, or you're going to have a team that frustrates the hell out of us because all the pieces are there, but the pieces aren't on the field at the same time, and you can't pay to keep everybody together. And that's where I kind of set the expectations now, okay, for myself. I set the expectations now. I won't speak for Bobby or Nate, but for me, I say this is the next test for Brad Holmes. I'm not moving the goalposts. I'm saying this is the next test because he's never had to do this before as a general manager, but I certainly believe in him. I certainly believe in him. But I wanted to throw that out there today just because I did say it on my radio show, but I got Lions fans here that can talk about it with me. Bobby, I want to go to you first. What are your thoughts on what I had to say before we get to the awards?
Oh man, it's pretty much every year though, honestly. But like I was saying on my Facebook, go check on these new Detroit Lions fans. These old ones, we okay. We didn't seen this before. We've seen this devastation, whatnot. When not Ben Johnson, when Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell first got here, we can all agree that we was void of talent, right?
Hmm.
And we can also agree, I hope that we can agree that the players that Brad Holmes brung, they don't even have to be draftees. Just guys that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell brung to the table are the better players on the team, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So now we have a lot of young players that's contracts are not up. And believe it or not, we have the eighth best cap, the eighth most cap room. So we don't need much on offense.
Mm-hmm.
We probably got to extend Panay or St. Brown. We probably can do the 5th-year option on Panay. So we don't really need much on offense as far as putting a lot of dollars into it. Defense, we're going to need a few pieces. Pass rush, a number one corner like Nate talked about a little earlier. So the question comes down to, with you, do you believe in Brad Holmes' drafting ability and player acquisition ability? I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah.
I'm more inclined to say we're headed in the direction that we have never seen before. Back-to-back division champions, that kind of stuff. So, if we can do something with that defense, I see the skies being the limit, and I also quite interested to see what Brad Holmes feel is the most urgent need as far as what we need, because to be honest, whoever he picked, you gotta be okay with it.
Right.
Because hey, you might not understand, he done showed you. You might not understand now, but you'll understand in December and January. So I'm optimistic.
Are
I'm
you
and I'm
leaning
oh, go ahead.
Are you leaning more towards dynasty loading, or are you leaning more towards 2010 Lions?
Oh, dynasty loading. That's not even really
That's mainly what I wanted
assessment.
to ask you.
Yeah, that's not even a fair assessment, because they were so, like, the front office was so bad back then, man. You know, we had to win despite the front office decisions. We had to win with front loaded teams. We 3 years into this new regime, the best players on the team are not only the ones Brad Holmes brought to the table, they are the youngest players on the team. So, yeah, I think we're okay.
Nate Rucker, are you leaning more towards dynasty loading or 2010s Lions?
Nah, dynasty loaded for sure. I mean, one of the problems that people talked about with the Lions was they need to sell the team because the ownership don't care. That's what it has been, the moniker and the dark cloud over this team forever, is that the owner, whoever the owner was at that particular time, did not truly care about the Lions because they had Ford Motor Company. So the Lions were the redheaded, not the redheaded stepchild. My bad, Eli. But
good. You're good. It's just the beard that's red. It's just the beard that's red. Everything else blonde. Anyway.
But the redheaded stepchild and the Lions were neglected, as far as how the build was and who was brought in and, why, like you say, and the question was why, and now crazy that it took for the daughter to outthink everybody to say, hey, we've done it this way for a long, shitty ass time. Let's do something a little different. And instead of going to the league for help, like her mom did, she said, I'm going to reach out to one of the greats of this franchise who's a Hall of Famer, who knows football. He might not, but certain players are able to be coaches and certain players are just meant for the front office because, they might not be able to relay information to guys to get maximum production. This is why you end up where certain people are better at coaching than others.
Right.
And so when it comes to Chris Philman, I think that's why he's never been on an NFL staff. He loves football. He bleeds football. He knows football. But I think his problem was relaying information to different players. So guess what? We're going to put him in a situation where he doesn't have to relay the information to the players, but we can use his brain when we're talking about bringing in other people to make our situation better.
Right.
Like nobody, and outside of him, when you look at that front office, who knows more about Detroit than Chris Philman? Who knows more about the Detroit fan base than Chris Philman? Nobody. So he knows what to expect from the fans. He's been on the team that's won. He's been on the teams that's been losing. He was traded away. He heard all the rumblings. So he knew it. And so when she did that and took over, when you look at what Brad Holmes has done with the way this team is built, I give as much dog shit as we give Bob Quinn. I give him credit for that offensive line. I give him credit, even though he did let Glasgow go. Glasgow came back, rejuvenated his career, and man, I told I hated Vitae, and man, I was so glad he took that goddamn position. But Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow, Frank drags everybody now. That's his name.
Yeah.
Frank drags everybody. And then, Jonah Jackson, I look at that and I look at, what Bob Quinn was trying to do. It's one of those things like Obamacare. Like you meant well, but the execution, you meant well, but like the execution was pretty shitty. So that's how I look at Bob Quinn. And the first, go ahead, Eli.
No. I don't mean to cut you off, Nate, Bob. I do agree with you that Bob. I think Bob Quinn had. I don't want to give him too much credit, but I feel like he had decent ideas of how to build a team because he was always saying build it from the ball out, from the lines out. But the problem is that he hired his best friend and he put the faith in the wrong people, and that's why he doesn't have the opportunity that he had. And you look at Martin Mayhew. Martin Mayhew's issue was not that he couldn't spot talent. He spotted talent. The problem was the talent he drafted got hurt.
Or he couldn't keep him.
Or he couldn't keep him because he made bad contracts, which, again, that's why I bring this all up. It's not to, in any way, shape, or form, throw any shade at Brad Holmes. And these guys on the screen, they know that I would never do that because I love Brad Holmes. But this is that next test for him as a general manager. Okay, so you scraped, everybody that was there. You brought in the young fellas. The young fellas produced. Now can you keep them? That's the next.
But you got to bet on his draft and his ability.
Or can you replace them through the draft, as Bobby was just saying?
Or trade their ass for more picks. All
Right.
kinds of shit, boy.
So there's a lot of different options there, but I will be very curious to see what they do. And I do want to bring this up before we get to awards. And we got a lot of awards we're going to be giving out tonight to various players. But before we do that, people in the chat, are you leaning towards Dynasty Loading or 2010 Lions? We ain't going to judge it for your opinion, but I want to hear from you. Okay, I want to hear from you. But as far as that offensive line is concerned, fellas, are we expecting any surprise retirements? Because to me, I'm looking at it and I hope that I'm wrong, but I feel like Frank Ragnow and Taylor Decker, I don't know that they come back. I feel like, especially Frank Ragnow, I think his body has taken a beating. Maybe he just needs a good offseason where he's not, being, asked to, play as many games as he did this year. Maybe he just needs a little bit of healing and he'll be fine. But I know Taylor Decker in the post game, he was talking about how, he realized at the end of the game that there are some guys in that locker room that he's never going to play with again. And just, maybe it's just me, but in my own head, I immediately thought about maybe he's talking about Frank. But I want to toss it over to you guys. I mean, Frank Ragnow and Taylor Decker, they're not exactly young pups anymore. Do y'all think that they could call it a day? Or do you think they come back for one more ride? Or maybe it's not even a one more ride situation. They're fine. They just need the offseason. 1, 2, 3 Cancun. Bobby Bless, what do you got on that?
I don't know, Elijah. That's the first time I heard it. So that's one of them Elijah hot takes. I'm going to leave alone because I don't think none of that shit possible.
Hey, what do you think?
I do think that Frank and Taylor Decker will come back because they want to finish the story. And I think that they know that they deserve it. Mm-hmm. And they have a coach that wants them to have it, wants them to be, have that chance. You guys have been Lions your entire career. You've been losing. Now you get a chance to win consistently.
Right.
Consistently win. That's why I know for sure. I think for sure our question, Frank Ragnow is coming back because you don't battle the way he battled these last 4 weeks. And I think he's really just banged up He's more banged up than what people know.
Yeah.
Like his knee.
That's what concerns
me. But I think it's just from the last couple of weeks. And I think he really just needs some time off and let everything heal. Because again, I think he's ready for the ride that this team is going to be on. And I'm for sure know that he wants to be a part of it. He's always said he wants to be, part of the reason that the team turned around. And, hell, he's been a captain since his second year.
Right.
So I definitely think that Frank's here for a while. Decker, I'm not so sure. For a long time, I questioned him as our left tackle to where I thought about moving
Chris Philbin exposed him.
Hey, look, that's what I was going to say. But the crazy part was by Chris Philbin doing that, it made him better. That moment he did that, and it made him better. When they talked about, you could always tell when it's a run or a pass. Just watch Decker. If he's looking down at the ground, it's a run. If he's looking down the line, it's a pass. And it was just crazy. He did that shit on national TV.
Right. So basically what you're saying is he had to come to Detroit and make sure our team becomes good because otherwise he'd never be forgiven because he was giving
exactly. So I'm definitely taking dynasty, our rookies, our drafting. Like I said, it's going to be big to see what Brad Holmes does. How is he going to handle free agency is going to be key. His drafting, his eye for talent, now should never be questioned by anyone.
Exactly. That's
I
my
agree.
point.
I agree.
So
I wholeheartedly
now
agree.
it's the next phase of being a GM that's going to be in question. How does he handle contracts? How does he handle restricted free agents and unrestricted free agents? Like, how does he handle it? We've got 55 million in cap room. That's a lot of money to play with.
Number
After and
7.
this
Number
the
7.
crazy, and this is the crazy part. You have all that money, and you were 30 minutes away from the Super Bowl. So it's not like you have to do a whole team remakeover.
Especially on offense. He don't gotta do nothing but resign people. Fucking resign them with that on offense.
Right. And then so what he can do, he can go ahead and he can knock the extensions out right now if he chooses to. He can knock
Right.
out Panay. He can knock out
Golf
St. Brown.
and
He can
golf.
knock out Golf.
And like I said, I'll be curious to see what he does with that. And obviously, with me putting it out there about Ragnow and Decker, don't be and maybe I'm giving myself too many flowers here, but I know what happens on this show. We say something and then people take it and it becomes a discussion topic. So don't be shocked if you hear other people outside of me talking about Ragnow and Decker. And don't be shocked if when Mel Kiper comes out with his draft, if they have us drafting an offensive lineman. Don't be shocked about that, especially with where we are in the draft, because we're not very high up there anymore, which is a blessing, but it's also makes it a little more interesting for sure. We'll be waiting around on draft night. But we do have some awards that we want to get to. We got a lot of them. So we're probably not going to spend a ton of time on each one, but we want to make sure that we spend enough time to give these players their proper respect. So I want to toss it around the room here. Now, Nate, you weren't involved in this earlier, but for every player of the year category, there is a rookie of the year category. That way we ain't got to, risk it. All right. So first up, let's go offensive player of the year. I want to start out with Bobby Bless. Bobby?
I'm gonna have to give it to Jared Goff. He's playing top. He's not only a top 10 quarterback. He was playing top 5, top 3 for a minute. He was a dark horse MVP candidate for a long time. The main thing is yards. If I'm not mistaken, he finished with second in yards in the league, and you know how you Lions fans used to love yards. So let's make sure y'all give him his props for that. And we win in 2, so make sure you give him his props for that. He's just an efficient play caller. Of course, he played better at home than on the road. Played better when he wasn't getting hit. But he was dropping dimes this year, even in the game, the playoff game, the last game we just played, NFC Championship. He was dropping dimes. He had great rapport with the quarterback. I mean, with Ben Johnson, of course, and you know what I'm saying. You gotta know he threw for all those yards, and we had a 2,000-yard running backs from scrimmage and whatnot. That offense was humming. Probably the best offense in Detroit Lions history. I'm gonna give it to the maestro of the whole offense, Jared Goff.
Okay, so for me, I'm going to go Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think Amon-Ra really showed everybody, and I think he continues to be one of the better investments, possibly one of the greatest fourth-round picks ever. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head very many fourth-round picks, and I certainly don't know very many fourth-round picks that have produced like Amon-Ra has. So I'm going to go Amon-Ra St. Brown for my offensive player of the year because Bobby went with Jared Goff. Otherwise, I was going to go with Jared Goff. So, Nate Rucker, your offensive player of the year, what do you got?
Jared Goff, easily. Like I say, man, dude passed for, including the playoffs, he passed for over 5,200 yards. And they weren't like watered down, like no stat is meaningless, but they weren't yards with us trying to catch up. These were yards getting us the lead sustaining the league, making everybody a weapon.
Even the running backs.
Everybody a weapon.
Not throwing it to him. Giving them the ball, letting them run.
His leadership,
yeah.
And his leadership wasn't just on the field. His leadership was even when he's talking to reporters, and then the reporters trying to throw shade. Like he wasn't going for that shit.
He came for Fitzpatrick too.
Yeah. Like Jared Goff, like give a fuck. Like when it was like, San Francisco got all these players over there, and you got some pretty good guys. He's like, wait a minute. It isn't St. Brown all pro?
Yeah.
Isn't Panay all pro? Like don't sit here and try to water down my guys because you comparing us to San Francisco. Put some respect on our shit.
True.
Like that's the type of leader and thing that he became here. And again, and I don't think a lot of people knew because he was in with the Rams what type of leader he was. He's totally different from Stafford. Jared Goff didn't give a fuck about the reporters. Like, you ain't gonna take a shot at my guys, and I'm gonna sit here and smile with y'all and give y'all nice answers. It's not gonna happen. Like, no.
And another thing too, he hate to cut you off. He never ran from we trying to win. We trying to go to the playoffs. We trying to win this division. He ain't never saying, I hope we do good. The plan is no. He fucking visioned it. He said it into fruition. And that's what I love about Jared Goff. He ain't straddling to no fence. None.
Mm-mm.
Offensive Rookie of the Year. We'll go 2-minute drill on this one. Okay, 2-minute drill, so because we got a lot of these to get through. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Bobby Bless.
I'm gonna have to give it to Laporta because Nate, you know how I hate them damn tight ends from Iowa, man. I thought they was so damn overrated. But hey, he showed he probably the best tight end in the league. So I'm already saying so. Breaking records, blocking. He had a couple games where he had some bad blocking. I don't want to be acting like he no damn incredible hawk blocking, but he was more than useful. He broke a lot of runs open with his blocking. He got to a lot of second level, and he was catching the football solid. So I'm giving it to Laporta, man, because even though my guy Jahmyr Gibbs, he was the most explosive and he came on late, Laporta is looking like one of the best in the league at his position as a rookie. So if there's ever been a definition of the sky is the limit, it's Sam Laporta at tight end.
The Incredible Hawk. I kind of like that. That might be something that we carry on into season 3, the Incredible Hawk. But anyway, as far as my Offensive Rookie of the Year, man, this does not come as a surprise to anybody. All right. I am picking my guy. Put some respect on his name. Jahmyr Gibbs. Okay. Jahmyr Gibbs. I need y'all to understand something. That draft last year is going to change the way general managers look at the running back position. Jahmyr Gibbs accounted for 1,499 yards this year. You might as well round it up 1,500 yards. And he didn't even play the whole season.
Nope.
14
and he shared.
touchdowns.
And he shared
carries. 1,500 yards. All right, I'm going to round up. 1,500 yards of offense. He didn't even play the whole season. And the reason why I said that draft is going to change the way people look at running backs, Bijan, for all that he wasn't used, and I can't believe he wasn't used that much in a lot of those situations for the Falcons, he also racked up 1,400 yards of offense.
He was nice. He was bouncing too.
You got 2 running backs who for the rest of their career are going to be compared to one another. And they both went over 1,400 yards in their rookie season. Don't be shocked if you see a running back go in the top 10 in this.
I agree. That's definitely they definitely
that narrative of running back by committee is gone now. It's gone now because everybody's going to want themselves their own version of Jahmyr Gibbs. But I got to go with Gibbs for my offensive rookie of the year. My guy balled out. He made me look like a very smart man. I can't live off of that one prediction for the rest of my life, but damn, I wish I could. Nate Rucker, offensive rookie of the year. What you got for me?
I hate the fact that me and Bobby think alike because
That's why we here. That's why we here now, big dog. You know that.
to me, man, it's easily Sam Laporta. He became the security blanket, him and St. Brown simultaneously. Like, if you say who's Batman and who's Robin, you can't say. You don't know which one is Batman for real, because they both do the exact same. They both catch across the middle. They both stretch the field. They both block extremely hard. They both play through injury. They both put it on the line for their team. And they both produce. Like, I told people, I never gave a fuck about Hawkins shit. I didn't think he.
When they picked
didn't think
another
he
one,
was
I
that.
was mad. I was mad they picked another one. I swear I was.
And you know what? And the thing was, when we looked at it, I said, receiving is not going to be the problem. Like, first thing, and it's so crazy that the scouting report on Hawkins shit and the scouting report on Laporta should have been flip-flopped.
Yeah, they lied for TJ Hawkinson. They straight up lied for him.
They talked about so he was a mauler, and if he got his hands on you, then he putting you to the ground. And then they talked about Laporta not being a good blocker, like not liking or not liking the block, this and that. And it was total opposite. Like, you're like, wait a minute. Laporta was out there pretty much as the sixth offensive lineman, sealing edges, blocking down the field, like pulling around like a guard on some play.
Fullback. I seen him coming out the backfield too.
Yeah. Like I said, had him playing the H-back position, 10 plus touchdowns, 1,000 yards, 80 receptions. Like, and then doing this at the tight end position. And I want people to understand something. For a tight end,
hardest position.
And I've always said that. And people be like, man, no, it ain't. It's the quarterback. No, quarterback's pretty hard. Cornerback and corner are very hard. But tight end.
Tight end is the number 3 then, for sure.
Tight end. And one of my guys, goes down to as, he's going to be, well, he is a Hall of Famer. Y'all know he went to Kent State.
Oh, yeah.
What's Hall of Fame.
Big dude.
Antonio Gates.
Yeah, Gates, big dude. Yeah.
See Tone a lot, get a chance to talk shit with him a lot. So, he tight end. You're in the tight end room. You're in the offensive line meetings. So you got your tight end meetings, your offensive line meetings, and your wide receiver meetings.
Running back room too.
Right. So now you have to learn the calls, the blocking calls with the offensive line. Then your tight ends, you have to learn same thing. You have to know those play calls. Then if you were like Laporta, where you're splitting out, you have to know the audibles and the routes from the wide receiver side. Like it's the tight end position is so complex. And especially when you have a team that uses so much movement that we do, putting so many different guys in motion, that's a lot for a fucking rookie.
Yeah.
Hell, that's a lot for a vet. Some of it is like you don't have that many good tight ends.
And don't forget to add blocking on the run, because that's it too.
Yeah. That's that whole thing is finding the guy, hitting the guy. That's what it's called. So this is why in 1 year he was already a top 10 tight end, because of all that and how hard it is, Big Sam Laportier.
Yeah. And he lived up to that hype too, because they said he was doing his thing in training camp, and he came into the season doing his thing still too. So,
So that's mine. I got Laporta.
Okay, defensive player of the year. This is gonna be a tough one for Bobby. I know that. I know that right now. So we're gonna go to Bobby first. Bobby, defensive player of the year. I know your heart is hurting right now, but I need you to pick somebody.
if I got to pick somebody, it's gonna be Aiden Hutchinson, and it ain't even gonna be for the whole year. It's gonna be for that period where he got 8 sacks in the last 4 games. I'm just gonna give it to him for that. But as far as the defense as a whole, they leave a lot to be desired. That's the nicest way I can put it. So I'm not gonna give you no long run about it, and I ain't gonna even try to justify it. Aiden Hutchinson. That's it, Elijah.
All right. Hey, I can respect that. So for my defensive player of the year, I'm gonna go with a player who I doubted a lot. You know, this is somebody that
and you getting on my nerve because that's the same guy I was about to say. So kiss butt.
So anyway, I doubted this player a lot. Okay, especially last season, going into this season, I thought with the fact that they drafted somebody at the same position that maybe the green dot would be going to him.
I told you no.
I got to give it to Anzalone. Okay, I got to give it to Anzalone. Here's why I'm doing that. Okay, that linebacker position, and I'm sure Nate will expand upon this because I think he's going to copy my player. That linebacker position is tough because you got to be the quarterback of the defense, and I don't know very many middle linebackers who had the complete secondary behind them change as much as Anzalone did. So, I mean, because he rarely, if ever, had everybody where they needed to be behind him, where they were supposed to be on paper, you know? So he's constantly making sure that everybody is where they're supposed to be. And so I'm going to go with the quarterback of the defense, Anzalone, and I give him a hell of a lot of credit for not feeling sour about the fact that they drafted Jack Campbell, because other players probably would have, but he didn't.
Yeah.
He was standing right in there with Campbell, making sure to help him on things. So I got to give it up for Anzalone. He certainly earned his fan base this season in Detroit. All those fans wearing the wigs.
Yeah.
Everything.
That was fun.
Nate Rucker, let's go to you. Defensive player of the year. I'll try to act surprised.
Of course, man. It's Big Alex. It's Thor, man. Alex Anzalone had a total of 129 tackles, 85 solo, 44 assisted, 3 sacks, 1 fumble recovery. You know, not only that, here's one of the big key things for me. He had 10 passes defended. And that, you know, with him being in coverage.
Yeah.
Like to me, that was huge, man. Alex Anzalone came a long way. And I was also one of the ones who was I was on him a little bit, but I seen what was going on and how hard it was for him because again, he's the only one who knew the defense completely inside and out. Like Charlie Gardner knew it, but he wasn't there the whole time. You know, so everything was on Anzalone. The play calling, the terminology, being able to again distribute the information to everybody so that they knew what their job was, what to do, where to be, made sure that everybody was in that position. That green dot was so important. And again, he's another captain, but that green dot was so important. And that's why I told Elijah that Jack Campbell ain't getting that green dot that fast. Anzalone ain't giving it up. He ain't giving it up. Like when you look at that, you look at how he was so much better in coverage We're talking about against these tight ends across the league now. I wasn't as scared or nervous when these guys.
And we seen some whack ass middle linebackers in coverage through the Lions' history. You ain't lying, Nate. I don't think that have 10 pass breakups in 10 years, let alone 10.
Man. And so Anzalone, man, yeah, he made, every linebacker's going to have plays where they may miss tackles here and there, but for the most part, Anzalone was Johnny on the spot, dude. His burst was there, his acceleration was there, his leadership was there. Like, his IQ is so much on a different level. I'm going to give y'all a play just for example. Baker Mayfield, first game, he's scrambling, he's aiming for the first down. They were on a nice little march. We knocked the ball down. It was 3rd and 10.
It's a playoff game. This is a playoff game? No. Oh, in Tampa.
In Tampa. And Baker Mayfield breaks out. And if Anzalone goes high, Baker Mayfield gets it. If he try to go low, he falls forward. Anzalone was so smart. He literally just throws his whole body in front of Baker.
Yeah.
He just dived and threw his whole entire body so that they both would fall out of bounds. You wasn't getting over the top.
Yeah, I do remember that.
You wasn't getting over the top. You wasn't getting under.
Too.
Right.
He smacked him too, yeah. I do remember that. It was on the sideline.
And he did this where it was legal and threw his whole body into Baker Mayfield to make sure he didn't get that first down.
I remember that.
Like the reason why Derek Barnes' ascension is what it is because of Anzalone. The reason why Jack Campbell has picked up this defense so good is because of Anzalone. Brian Branch is because of Anzalone. Like, this is all because of Alex. And that's my defensive player of the year.
So, defensive rookie of the year. Bobby Bless. You got a couple choices you can go with here.
Oh, yeah.
Defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take Brian Branch. Nate probably mentioning just a little bit. Brian Branch, he was a draft steal, honestly, man. Another guy that was highly touted, talked about a lot in the middle of the training camp. I've been a buyer ever since I seen him intercept Pat Mahomes in the opening game. Every time he played, he was known. He didn't disappear. He was always a factor. So, and for a rookie, man, the sky is the limit with him also, man, because Brian Branch was probably a first round pick that we stole with a second round, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, right. So I'm gonna go with him, man. All well advertised. I like Brian Branch. He's gonna be a guy that's gonna be around.
So for me, I'm gonna go with Brian Branch as well. I do want to say this though. We have not fully seen what Jack Campbell can be and what he will become. I think this year we got a good sample size of Jack Campbell, but we got a lot more of Brian Branch, in my opinion, as far as immediate effectiveness. That's just my personal opinion. But I like Brian Branch. I think Brian Branch is going to be interesting to see where he ends up on the tree of the secondary. See what I did there? Because they had him in there at nickel. They could move him over there to be the cornerback who follows the best player on anybody else's team. I mean, they didn't do that this year because he was a rookie, but that right there might be your, for all those Lions fans screaming about, we need a corner.
You don't have the top end speed.
You may
he don't got the speed.
Because he's got that feistiness. He's got that fight at the line of scrimmage. But again, we'll wait and see on that. But I'm going with defensive rookie of the year. For me, Brian Branch. Nate, what do you got?
Same thing, Brian Branch. I mean, when I look at, again, one of the shittiest spots, on our defense, of course, was our pass defense. But Brian Branch, man,
He
had
made some plays. He
he
made
made
quite
some
a few.
plays, man. I mean, dude ended up at the end of the year with, I think, what did he have? So he had 3 interceptions. He ended up with 2 sacks, 13 passes defended, 50 solo tackles, 74 total, and had a PFF grade of over 70. Man, sky is the limit. Sky is the limit. Sky is the limit for our guy, BB, Brian Branch.
All right, our next
Oh,
category.
wait, one quick thing. Only
Right.
thing that the one Jack Campbell, he just needed to believe in what he's seeing. He a couple steps slow on reacting to plays, but he definitely not like lost cause. He just need to trust his instincts more. I think he does a lot of like hesitating from what I've seen, but he can hit though. I know that. So he ain't scared. He just need to believe in himself a little more. That's it.
Next category, I'm going to give you the category name, and I'm going to go first on this one because I've been waiting for this one to come up. So, Nate, by the way, we can't see you, just so you know. I don't know if you know that or not.
Yeah.
As far as this next category is concerned, we got Comeback Player of the Year, okay? Comeback Player of the Year. I'm going to go first. I'm going to give it to that bad man wearing number 9, Jameson Williams. I'm gonna give it to him as my Comeback Player of the Year. Here's why. Man, I don't know another player on our team that faced as much negativity from his own fan base as Jameson Williams did this year. And the year prior. People didn't know what we had in him during his rookie season. He wasn't able to play a whole lot because of the injury and recovering from the injury. And then this year, he's got the gambling thing that sits him for 4 games. And then he comes back and people are debating, does he know any other routes other than a go route? I mean, we debated that a little bit on this show too, to be fair, okay? But man, the guy got hate pretty much all season long. And who was arguably our best offensive player in that 49ers game?
He showed out. He showed out. He showed out.
And what's funny is up here in Messina, New York, Cassandra and I went to go get subs before the NFC Championship game. We're sitting in the car. We're waiting for our subs to be made. And I looked at my wife and I said, I think this might be the JMO game. Where he comes out and he asserts himself. And then literally, first couple plays, 42-yard touchdown run.
He was gone, too.
He sits there. He keeps the game alive with a touchdown catch, okay? Which, by the way, you're not going to sit there and tell me that if we get that onside kick, that we ain't going to go down there and score again, because I believe we would have with 50 seconds and 2 timeouts. But anyway, Jameson Williams, I'm going to go with him. Now, with that being said, he's coming into his 3rd year. This is a prove-it year for him, okay? This is also, unfortunately, going to be his first full season of action as long as nothing horrible happens, which, knock on wood.
He only missed 2 games last year.
I'm just saying though, like, he didn't have a full season. We have not seen what this guy can do with a full season yet. And it's sad that he's going into his 3rd year and that's the situation, but that's the situation. So he's got, this is a prove-it year for him. This is where he makes his money in this upcoming year, okay? But for this season, I give him comeback player for me on the team. Let me toss it over to Bobby. Bobby, who's your comeback player?
Yeah, I'll just give you a little comment, add a little bit more to J-Mo. Did you see him snatch that interception back from dude too? He was fully, he was all the way invested. I like that one. But believe it or not, I'm gonna go with Jalen Reeves-Maven, man, the true definition of comeback. Because did you ever watch any of these kickoffs? He was always down, first one down there. Every
I don't know. Once they set Chase Lucas, then because remember they had released, because Chase was the guy who was always
and he was the main cog in the damn fake punts and stuff too. Yeah, and then you got to remember, he filled in at linebacker too when they was hurt too. Man, he did a lot, man.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, and he made the Pro Bowl from special teams. So, man, and he was here. He was here once. Another Bob Quinn pick that we all questioned, but he's another guy that came back around, and he really, he was worth that money they paid him to come back, and he was one of the best guys doing it. So I'm gonna say Jalen Reeves Mavens as far as comeback. But because a comeback player to me is a guy that we didn't expect to do as well. So I kind of only reason why I don't say Jamo because I already knew he was gonna be good. Just a matter of time. So he wasn't a surprise to me.
Nate Rucker, comeback player.
Listen, this is the true definition of a comeback player. My guy Melifonwu.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
Melifonwu, I remember they had people talking about, was he even going to make the team?
Mm-hmm.
Should he make the team? He can't cover. He can't do this. Dude finished the year, 2 interceptions, 5 sacks, 24 solo tackles.
How many games he played? He played almost all the games too, didn't he?
Well, no. Remember, well, he did, but it was like when Tracy Walker and Charlie Gardner-Johnson both was out, Melifonwu came and fully invested. This is what you call the true definition of a guy, a comeback, who, like I say, people talking about him even making a roster, why he even on the team, like this, that, and the other, like he just holding a roster spot. I'm like, oh, he gonna be all right.
And he was the best.
Y'all remember this? Because I told y'all, Melifonwu, all he needed was his shot. I told y'all. Y'all start listening to me now. I don't be just talking out of my ass. I be telling y'all shit for a purpose.
Right. Write it down.
Look. I'm gonna do this. Look, this is a shout out to my boy Bernie Mac when he say, "Listen here, you motherfuckers, I told you so." You motherfuckers, I told you. I motherfucking told you. Only thing you gotta do, you just gotta listen to him. Listen to what the fuck I'm trying to tell you.
I gotta say that impression is on point. Damn. So let's go to surprise player of the year. Okay, so this is somebody that came out of nowhere, right? If you were looking at the 9-8 season, you might say that would have been Rodrigo, right? Because he kind of came out of nowhere. So this year, who was that player to you guys? I'm gonna start off with Bobby.
Ooh, that's a hard one, man. Shit, as much as I do this Detroit Lions stuff, I'm not surprised at people that came out of nowhere. So believe it or not, I'm gonna have to say Laporta again. I was just so down on that pick, man. The tight ends from Iowa. I know I keep saying that, man. I was just so underwhelmed at TJ Hawkinson for them to go back to Iowa to get another tight end. I almost was betting on him to fail more than to be the best damn tight end. If you had to ask me, is he going to be the best tight end in the league or is he going to fail? I would have picked fail more than likely. So that was a surprise, pleasant surprise. As like Nate said, he was the safety blanket and all that. And then he surprised me again because the last game of the season, I just knew he wasn't going to be able to make the playoff game. And he got through that, and he still had a pretty good game with the knee brace on and stuff. So I'm going to say Laporta again because I ain't too many players that's going to surprise me on this team. But if I have to say more so who proved me wrong, it'd have to be Laporta the most. Because not only like Gibbs, I had doubts about Jahmyr Gibbs too, but I've seen and heard of him. This Laporta was never on one. We never mocked him. We never did a college profile on him or nothing like that. So he was a new guy that I never heard of, and he was good. So that's why Elijah.
Okay, so this was a hard one for me too, because there was a lot of players on this team that I just believe in. Like they put on that Honolulu blue jersey, and I believe in them. So I kind of get where Bobby's coming from on that.
Don't pick my guy either.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if I pick your guy. So this is somebody that was drafted in the first draft that Brad Holmes had.
I know who you're talking about.
I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. We'll see. We'll see. But this was a player who kind of faded into the background, but then showed up when it mattered the most. And he is the reason why we went to the NFC Championship game. I got to give it to Derek Barnes.
Yep.
Derek Barnes.
That's Nate Guy, too. I bet that's Nate Guy.
Look at that face. Nate is just so sad right now. But Derek Barnes, I got to give it to him because you have Anzalone, right? You got Rodrigo. You got Jack Campbell. Who gets forgotten? Derek Barnes. Everybody kind of forget. They're like, well, he was solid at Purdue. Maybe eventually he'll be somebody. Maybe he'll be a special teams guy. And yet he throws around, and when he's given the chance, goes out there, plays well, and picks off Baker Mayfield, sending us to the NFC Championship game. And oh, by the way, how sweet it was that he did that, because a few weeks earlier, he misses Dak Prescott in the end zone, and that was the most you had heard about him during his Lions career, was that missed tackle for a safety in the Dallas game. Everybody said, what's Barnes doing? Get him off the field. Cut him from the team. And then a few weeks later, what are they saying? Oh my God, Derek Barnes is our hero. Here we go to the NFC Championship game. Life comes at you quick. But I'm going to go with Derek Barnes as my surprise player for this season. Ain't going to be no surprise next year. We'll see how he, shapes up in that linebacker room. Nate, who do you got for surprise player?
He wasn't a surprise to me because I've always liked to pick. When he came out of Purdue, I was like, which is why I was more so mad that he let Anzalone beat him out for that position. Because one of the things, if y'all remember, what we talked about in our season preview, we talked about why Rodrigo got that spot. And we talked about the difference between the linebackers and how Derek Barnes from Kelvin Shepherd had the size, had the speed, had the length. He just didn't take it. And it all started last year in that Green Bay game when he knocked the hell out of Aaron Rodgers and completely destroyed Green Bay. I hate to say single-handedly, but he was all over the place that game. Mm-hmm. And I think that was that confidence booster that he needed going into the season. And he never looked back. He ended up with 81 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, 1 very, very, very big interception. But his sideline to side, and I also think that one of the reasons why Christian McCaffrey was able to get 90 yards is because Derek Barnes went out. Because Derek Barnes' sideline to sideline speed, like Jack Campbell can hit, but Derek Barnes hits. He comes with so much. I mean, he coming with full pad, helmet. We call them decleaters. The way he, true enough, he did miss Dak in the end zone because he came for that decleater. That was the one time where Derek Barnes didn't trust his technique. He went in for the sack and went too high, and Dak was able to spin out and go right up under.
Oh yeah, I cussed him out that day, Nate. I cussed him out bad.
But
it's a surprise player.
Derek Barnes.
Okay, all right. Well, because you said he wasn't a surprise to you, so that's why I was asking.
Well, no, because I mean, he wasn't because, excuse me, I was already high on him.
Got it. Okay.
It's more so of a surprise to me because it took him so long to get there. Like, dude, he has the tools, dude, the size, the speed. He literally has it. It's just him trusting in his own ability. Like, because he's a better coverage linebacker than what people want to give him credit for. Like I'm saying, like, no, we're fine. I know Barnes can cover, as we've seen. He's got good hands. He has very good play recognition. You can blitz him. He can read and he can shed pulling guards and tackles off that pool. Like, yeah, it was just more of a surprise that it took him this long. But my surprise player for the year was Derek Barnes. more so I've been waiting for Derek Barnes to make it to go ahead and take that spot. Because remember, that's the only reason why we haven't seen Rodrigo.
Yeah.
This is why, ironically, Rodrigo was being moved to fullback, because now you can't get him on the field.
Right.
But when Barnes got hurt, Rodrigo stepped in good though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
We're gonna go to a group of people that don't often get a lot of credit, and we want to shed a little light on these folks here. So we're gonna go best position coach. So these are not the coordinators, okay? These are the position coaches. I'm gonna start off so that I can give my guys here time to think about their choices.
I already know what mine is.
I do too, actually.
And you know what? We might all say the same person. Okay, we might all say the same person. That's how this is going tonight. But I'm going to say Scotty Montgomery, running backs coach. I don't know another Lions team where you had two running backs reach over 1,000 yards rushing, two running backs reach over 10 touchdowns apiece. Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, Scotty Montgomery also filled in for assistant head coaching role too.
Yeah,
yes, he did.
So for me, he was the newcomer, right? He was, we were sad when we lost Deuce Staley for good reason, because Deuce is a hell of a coach. But we didn't know what we would have in Scotty Montgomery. We hoped, but we didn't know. Now we know. He, I think, deserves a lot of credit for that running back room. And I know some folks are going to say, well, wait a minute, Jameer only had 900 yards. Folks, I am adding in playoff yardage, okay, and playoff touchdowns. So you had two running backs with 1,000 yards when you factor that all together, okay, with regular season and playoffs. But again, Scotty Montgomery, that's my position coach. Bobby Bless, what do you got?
I was going to say Scotty Montgomery, but since you already got him, I'm going to say Rondo L. Did you see those receivers this year? I mean, every last one of them. They block like linemen. If you don't think the position coach is in there telling them, making sure that's a priority, it's hard to believe. Even down to little Khalif Raymond, man, they out there blocking, making pass for those 1,000-yard running backs we had. And not to mention, there was a part of the season where we went into the game where only really St. Brown healthy, right? And we still won that. Yeah, and we still won that game. And Jared Goff was still slinging that ball. But the main thing is the receivers. They wasn't world beaters, you know what I mean? Other than St. Brown, he was the one that's highly touted. But those guys, remember we in the offseason, we were trying to get DeAndre Hopkins and all that other stuff. Come to find out, Brad Holmes was right with them. We had the right group of guys in the building, and that's mostly because of Randall's L ability to get them committed to whatever the game plan was. If that was them needing to catch a bunch of passes, or if that was them even wanting to block, or we're gonna throw the ball to the linemen this time. They wasn't invested, because I'm pretty sure, you know how they say receivers are diva. I'm pretty sure they wasn't all that happy with the receivers. I mean, with the linemen declaring themselves eligible or whatnot. But Randall L., not to mention, he got interviewed for a defensive coordinator job. I think it was Tampa Bay, if I'm not mistaken. Offensive coordinator. So I see him going up the tree, because if you're getting interviewed for promotions, that means you're doing something right at your job you got going on right now. And if you think about Randall L. as a player, he was always the utility guy. And I think we got a bunch of highly skilled utility guys that's willing to do whatever the job done. And that got to be the position coach.
All right. So we're going to turn it over here to Nate Rucker. Now, I've picked Scotty Montgomery. Bobby has picked Antoine Randall L. That's running backs, that's receivers.
Because you picked Montgomery.
Because I picked Scotty Montgomery. I get it. I'm going to guess, and I could be completely wrong, but I'm going to guess that Nate goes with another newcomer, Dre Bly. Nate, what do you got?
No.
Oh,
hell no.
Dre Bly was all he had to deal with? Come on now.
Man, they
actually,
went. They
it
ain't doing
wasn't
nothing.
right. But Eli, you are in the right spot. But it is Brian Duker is actually the safeties coach, the
Okay.
defensive back safeties coach. So you are in the right ballpark. You are in the right ballpark. But yes, it is Brian Duker. And when you're talking about what he did as far as with Melifonwu and Kirby Joseph. So I think Kirby Joseph had what, 3 picks this year?
I think
4?
so.
3, 4 picks. Melifonwu had his picks. You know, then you're talking about doing all this without Charlie Gardner. Then you end up losing Tracy Walker again. And so essentially, you know, the Lions were able, they ran, I think at one time they had 5 safeties on the field. It was either 4 or 5. But they had Melifonwu, Kirby Joseph, Charlie Gardner, and they had Brian Branch in safety. So they had the 4 safety look. And I gotta get that love to Brian Duker, man. Brian Duker. I keep saying his name wrong. But yeah, Brian Duker. He I was gonna take Randall L. It's okay. Bobby took him. Because of
Bobby
what
over
they
there taking photos. Everybody pose. Everybody pose for Bobby.
I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention. Only reason why I picked only because he picked Montgomery. I also picked Montgomery because he had the running backs, but Randall L. He was the man.
Yeah, but he did like he's and as everybody know, Randall L comes from that Pittsburgh type system where wide receivers had to block. He played with one of the best blocking wide receivers of all time at Hines Ward.
The dirtiest.
Hey, that boy played hard.
He was dirt ball. He was dirty, but yeah.
Hines Ward for Pittsburgh and Amon-Ra St. Brown. You put them side by side, I don't see a difference.
No. Then
the crazy part, people talking about like J-Mo's weight, J-Mo being under 200 pounds, but you can't tell me a guy who doesn't maximize his body weight when he blocks more than J-Mo does.
Yeah, he put himself out there for sure.
Like you say, when you think about David Montgomery, both his long runs this year and last year, he was escorted to the end zone by J-Mo.
Right.
Hey, usually skinny dudes get tapped at the feet and hit the ground. Greenlaw hit J-Mo and he still ran through that, you know. So he's tough.
J-Mo plays bigger than what his stature says he should. So yeah, so Randall definitely has a part in that. But Brian Duker, man, that's the one for me.
Best coordinator. All right, I'm gonna go first on this one. Best coordinator. I'm gonna say, and I know I'm gonna get shit for it, but I'm gonna say it.
Aaron Glenn.
I'm gonna go for Aaron Glenn. I've been giving that man his props all season long. It ain't gonna stop now. Listen, Ben Johnson. He's a great one, okay? Don't get me wrong. He's a great one, and I'm not going to fault anybody for choosing Ben Johnson, all right? But I'm picking Aaron Glenn because of what this man has had to deal with when it comes to injuries, when it comes to the disrespect from his own fan base. And yet he never let that bother him. He rolled with the punches, and he played with, you know, what he had. You know, he made meals out of the in the cupboard. And the cupboard for him is not as stacked as the cupboard is for Ben Johnson. So that's why I got to give it to Aaron Glenn, because that defense is what won us the game against the Rams. That defense is what closed out the game against the Buccaneers. And that defense was major when it came to giving us that 17-point lead that we had going into halftime. Because everybody remembers the points, but you also got to remember, why is the other team not scoring? So I got to give it to Aaron Glenn, and I really hope Aaron Glenn comes back. Obviously, we know Ben Johnson's coming back, and I will say this. Ben Johnson, man, much respect. Much respect. He had a chance to run his own team, and he said, I ain't done yet. I ain't done in Detroit. So much respect to him, and I can't wait to see what happens with Ben Johnson next year, because I think it's going to be really, really good. I think it's going to be really, really good. But for this moment in time, I got to give it to Aaron Glenn. Bobby, what you got?
I got Ben Johnson. Uh, uh, earlier in the show, I said this was probably the best Lions offense in Detroit Lions history, right? So I got to give it to the man that orchestrated and architected. Ben Johnson. Not only he was able to have some very, very successful plays, we were balanced, and we had a top offense in the league. I think it was around number 5 or 4.
Nah, we're higher than that. Actually, I think we
Take, I don't know. Okay, so they was definitely top 5, top 3, whatever. So I like that. I like the balance in the offense. We were told, like I said, people thought we needed Hopkins, and we missing this piece of the offense. How he applied Montgomery and Gibbs, and they're both uh they're both running backs, but they both do similar things. The way he was able to use each of them without making the offense predictable. Of course, Jared Goff, his connection, and the main thing though that I like about Ben Johnson though, he never was scared to use different stuff. Like we might come out with a whole 4 wide receiver set, but now, damn, we got 4 fucking tight ends or 2 tight ends and 3 linemen out here. We got Panay on the next to Decker now. All kind of different stuff to kept the defense guessing. So just that alone, and the results that he put on paper, you know what I mean? And his ability to be a crazy fool and say he wants so much money where they don't want him, that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. He said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to offer so much money. If one of these fools say yes, I ain't got no choice but to take it. So now they saying like, we turned off from Ben Johnson asking price, but Ben Johnson said, you got to really give me some money to you got to really give me some money to go against my team. And I was reading on one of these articles on Twitter, we might want to thank Ben Johnson's wife, because he said that he talked to his wife, and she asked, aren't we happy here? We love Detroit, and da, 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 da. He said, well, after that, it was really a case closed. So happy wife, happy life. And I don't know her name, but she was a big cog in him staying. Like, she don't want to move the family kind of thing, and we happy here. She loved it in Detroit. So all the Detroiters and people of Michigan that's being real nice and thankful, you guys are part of the reason why Ben Johnson is staying, because your fandom and you're showing the love to all the Detroit people, all the coaches and players, is made one of these guys that had a chance to leave want to call this place home. So that was right there, Elijah.
Nate Rucker, favorite, or I shouldn't say favorite, but best coordinator.
It's going to be Aaron Glenn, of course.
Okay, all right.
I mean, I'm just like, think about it. We gave up 0 100-yard rushers.
Yeah.
0.
0.
Let that sink in. 0. Like, no quarterbacks, no running backs, no single guy hit 100 yards on us.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Like, and then I get, what people were mad about with the pass defense the last 6-7 games. He had to figure out a way. And he did the best what he could with what we had. And he said, hey, we're going to run this shell. And if y'all think that y'all can beat us with one guy, go ahead. Like, if y'all think y'all can beat us with one guy, go ahead. Go ahead. Because the rest of y'all ain't going to do shit.
Right.
The rest of y'all not going to do shit. Your running backs ain't going to do shit. Hey, Aaron Glenn ain't about that shit. I mean, he did what he did. So I definitely give give Aaron Glenn credit. Like you say, they put that anonymous vote out on who the players thought was the best coordinator, the best defensive coordinator. And they did this thing anonymously because, of course, they don't want to get in trouble with their own teams and franchises. And Aaron Glenn was number one. So how can we not put respect in our own coordinator's name?
And just for perspective, okay, for all those people.
Oh, and I forgot one.
All those people, hold on to it, Nate. Hold on to it. But for all those people who are complaining about the passing offense, or I should say the pass defense, nobody on the San Francisco 49ers got 100 yards receiving. Deebo Samuel had 89 yards. Ayuk had 68, which came from one of his catches. And George Kittle, for everybody being worried about George Kittle, had 2 catches for 27 yards. So I just want to say, put some respect on Aaron Glenn's name. Nate, go ahead.
I forgot.
Funny, man.
I had to go back, man, to my guy. And damn it. I forgot Big Hank Fraley, man. My offensive line. My offensive line coach.
It's good that you forgot about him because our next award is honorable mention. So, honorable mention.
No, he doesn't get honorable mention. Man, that offensive line was the shit. We had the number one offensive line in the game. The number one offensive line in the game. Shit. Okay, go ahead, Eli.
All right, so honorable
mention. So y'all can't take my guy because y'all wouldn't go pick Free.
It would be dirty for me to say honorable mention. How about that offensive line coach? But anyway, Bobby Bless, honorable mention. What do you got?
I got Penei Sewell, man. I couldn't find no reason to give him no trophy, man, but you got to give him a shout out, man. He was best right tackle in the league. They don't give you no trophy for that. I wish we had one for him, though. Man, he was a monster. He was trying to catch the ball against San Francisco. He was down for whatever, man. And he was mean too. And people starting to get word of that monster in Detroit, and because he was a monster with Oregon Ducks too, man. And he was Brad Holmes' first pick, and he the best player at his position, and he was all pro, you know what I mean? So if he all pro, he gotta have some kind of love. He gotta show him some kind of love with this awards. I wish we had I wish the football was enough where the offensive line could be an MVP. But let's be honest, people don't watch football like that to make the offensive lineman an MVP. But that would be my runner-up for MVP if I had a vote. It would be Penei Sewell, man. He was, man. It didn't matter if they was big or small, or slow or fast. He was getting them out the way, and he might be the best pulling lineman in the entire NFL. And we a running team. We a running team, man. He a main part of that too. So he is affecting passing game and the running game. And he trying to catch passes too. And if I'm not mistaken, he the guy to do the pep talks before the game too. So he's the leader of the team. Yeah, so he's a lot, man. He does so much on this team, and it's hate that we don't have an award to give to him. But without Penei Sewell, are we the brand new Lions? I say no.
So for my honorable mention, I'm going to somebody that probably didn't have any stats. If he did, they were negative yards. I'm going to go with Teddy Bridgewater. I think.
Oh shit!
I think the backup quarterback position in the NFL, it's one of those positions where you don't know that you need it until you need it. And we saw a lot of teams this year need that backup quarterback spot. We luckily did not run into that situation, but I got to give it to Teddy B because he had a lot of jobs on this team. A lot of people don't realize that. He had to be Jared Goff's right-hand man. When Jared Goff comes to the sideline, what are you seeing, Jared? Well, here's what I'm seeing over here.
Right.
He had to do that for Jared Goff. Now, I'm not saying Jared Goff needed that or that's a weakness. Every starting quarterback looks to their backup after every drive
He
and says,
did.
are you seeing anything that I'm not seeing? Okay. So that's number one. All right. Is that he had to be there for Jared Goff, but he also had to be there for the young man, Hendon Hooker. Because if anybody had more time on task with Hendon Hooker, it was Teddy Bridgewater. Jared Goff ain't got time to sit there and bring along Hendon Hooker. I'm not saying that he ignored the kid, but he doesn't have time to do that. He's a starting quarterback for the Lions. He's got to focus on winning games for the Lions. So who do you think was helping Hendon Hooker learn the playbook, learn how to be a pro? It was Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater also went out of his way to try to help JMO out.
Yeah.
So to me, I mean, I think it's one of those things where Teddy Bridgewater had already said that he's going to retire after this season. So unfortunately, he won't be a player anymore, but he'll probably end up coaching. He might even coach for the Lions, depending on how that all works out. But I got to give it to Teddy Bridgewater as my honorable mention. Again, he doesn't have any stats to show you, but I think it's the stuff that he did behind the scenes that doesn't get nearly enough credit. So I'm going with Teddy B. Teddy Two Gloves, as I've heard a lot of people call him. Nate Rucker, who is your honorable mention?
My honorable mention. You're gonna make me have to put him in there as honorable mention. It's gonna be Hank Fraley, our offensive line coach. Again, we battled with the Eagles back and forth on PFF and every other statistical category as far as the number one offensive line in the league. And then the reason why is because that big dude, Owasu, whatever the hell his name is, that dude was so shitty in the preseason. He the one that got what's his face killed. The reason why we had to go get Teddy Bridgewater.
Nate Sudfeld.
Yeah. The guy with the mean
I should have said Nate Sudfeld for honorable mention. You would see Nate flip out.
Man, that dude was trash. hey, but that dude was trash. But I'm glad Owasu, whatever happened, how did he put out? I'm glad he was in there because if it wasn't for him getting Sudfeld killed, man, we wouldn't have Bridgewater. But and then I give him credit because he held up pretty good in fill-in time, man. Especially against Tampa Bay. With Vea and Golston when everybody was getting hurt. Jonah Jackson out. Then you turn around and you've got to play a very, very good defensive front in San Francisco. So I give him credit, and I give Hank Fraley even more credit for getting him ready. If you guys go back to the Hard Knocks, you will see Hank Fraley. He be on Nate ass, man, about technique, attention to detail, hand placement, foot placement. Are you sliding or are you stepping? Not letting the defense get in up under your pads. Like, he's so instrumental, man, in what our offensive line is. This is the reason why we don't have those drop-offs. It's just not the players. It's that coach that's in their head, in their ass on a consistent basis. So, Big Hank Fraley, flowers, my guy.
All right, we're going to move on to our final category here. And this one's for the fans, right? This one's for the fans. So we're going to go favorite game, all right? Favorite game from this season. I'm going to go first, all right? And I'm going to tell you why I'm going first, all right? I've never seen my team do this before. Nate and Bobby both saw this team do this before. I was not alive when they had done this before. That's win a playoff game. I got to go with that Rams game, man. That Rams game, I was on the edge of my seat. I loved it. It was literally a game that if they sold it on Blu-ray, I would buy it. And I but, every single Super Bowl, okay, every single Super Bowl after the Super Bowl's done, they always have that, that special Blu-ray talking about the season. And I know we didn't get to the Super Bowl, but everything that's behind Bobby's head right now, Bobby, I'll have you tilt for me one more time. 14 wins, 5 All-Pros, 5 Pro Bowlers, 2 playoff victories, first playoff win in 32 years, first division title in 30 years. Man, I would love for the Lions to put out a 90th season Blu-ray where it's got all 14 wins on it. I would buy that in a heartbeat because it was one of those type of seasons, man. Bobby, you're good, by the way. But it was just one of those things where, for me, this is that Blu-ray season. This is that season that I want to show and go back to and rewatch. You know, I want to go back and rewatch all those wins again, and during the off season. But for me, like I said, my favorite game was the Rams game. I know how much that game meant to Jared Goff. I know how much that game meant to Brad Holmes. And I know how much that game meant to fans like me and that city. It was just something special, something special. So I got to go with the Rams game. Bobby Bless, your favorite game of this season?
My favorite game of the season was the Denver game. I think it was a Saturday night game, and that was the game we came out from kickoff to end kicking that butt. That we didn't lack but 1 second of that game. And there was a lot of plays we made. Russell Wilson, that's the last time I seen Russell Wilson. They ain't never seen they ain't found him yet. He been missing ever since, man. So damn shame what happened to Russell Wilson, but the Lions did that to him. So no, but honestly, that was the of all the games I watch, and I break down film of all the games. I rewatch every game a few times, and that Denver game was the most complete game in Detroit Lions in a long time. And if you that's sitting back and thinking about it now, that might have been that might have been the first evidence that we was going to do something special this year. So that game, brother.
Nate Rucker, your favorite game from this season?
Bobby took my game. So
no,
I've got a backup.
Nate.
I got a backup game.
He gonna pull one of them other 13 wins.
Don't worry about it. And it was the game where I said that if they go in there and beat their ass like they supposed to, that this guy will get fired. And he got fired the very next day. And that was the Oakland Raiders.
Oh yeah.
I was like, another one of these Patriot boys is about to be fired again. If they come into our set and we beat that ass like we are supposed to, he would be fired. And we beat that ass. And he got fired. And Jahmyr Gibbs lit them Raiders ass up.
Yeah, he dogged them.
Yeah.
That was a good game. That was a good game, Nate. And I honestly had kind of forgot about that one. That's a good one. That's a good
That was Monday Night Football, sure was.
Man, lit they ass up. Completely lit them up. So yeah, that since Bobby took the Broncos, the Raiders is my game.
And I will say one other game that I was gonna pick, but I felt like I should go with a win, not a loss. But
Baltimore.
I was gonna pick San Francisco, honestly.
Oh, I was gonna pick Baltimore.
I was gonna pick that San Francisco game, even though it was a loss. I saw a lot from my team that day. I saw a lot from my team to be proud of, and as far as moving forward was concerned. But no, I'm gonna go with my victory there with the Rams. That first playoff victory, man, you can't beat it. I honestly, I never felt anything like that before.
Yeah, and the same thing with me. My honorable mention is the playoff game I went to. Against Tampa Bay.
That was cool. That was cool.
That was the loudest shit I ever been a part of in my life. And when it first came out, like, oh, they didn't break the record for because of the rounds, we broke the record or something, 4-4 record against the round, and then earlier in that game, that's like, oh no, it didn't break that record. I said, damn, they didn't break no record, but damn, my ears still hurt. So I couldn't imagine what the Stafford game was. But then it came out like the next day that they actually were louder. But yeah, man. But that was crazy, dude. Dude.
And I gotta say, Bobby, obviously you, Nate, and Reggie, you guys all hold a special place in my heart anyway. but Bobby, you will always hold another special place in my heart because of your sign, I was actually, in a way, at that game with you. So
Oh
I
God,
really
you so
appreciate
damn
that.
silly, man.
You know, it's
Yeah,
funny.
I always gotta have my boys.
But it's funny how my name has got it, has gotten into Ford Field now twice, and I've never been there. That's kind of
Right, right.
but
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you, going out there representing our company like that.
And I got
That was
his two
really cool.
subscribers today. I got his 2 subscribers today too.
I certainly appreciate that, my friend. With that, hey, we've gotten to the closing remarks part of the show. These are the final remarks of season 2. Season 2, it's been a long road, been a very long road, but we are now here. I want to start off with the man that I started this show with, Nate Rucker. Nate, we're at season 2, my friend. This is episode 63 tonight.
Man,
I mean, this feels like the realization of a dream.
Yeah.
So I want to start with you, man.
Like you say, I mean, season 2, where we wasn't sure this was even gonna really get off the ground or not. From our Facebook page to just chatting back and forth to putting this thing together, bringing the guys along, man, becoming my brother from another mother. People just don't know, man, how close of a group we are. Like, not just on the Zoom, man. Like, we've went through some tragedies and we've shared some heartfelt shit that a lot of people don't know, that have been, man, hurting us, and we've shed tears together. Like, if people don't know, listen, man, real men, we shed tears. And the hardest thing is being able to be vulnerable, but not being categorized of less than. And that's just the way the world is. Any type of dude, man, that you show any type of emotion or you shedding tears, you're considered weak and all type of shit. But the things that we've shared, as far as, like you say, man, your pawpaw, my pop, my aunt, man, everything that Reggie was going through, Bobby being our taking all our shit in Toledo solo. Look.
they be coming for me too, boy.
Hey, listen, my dog got a beautiful wife who just happens to be a Packer fan, sending us all these goddamn hate shits. So I know, but it was really good, man, for us to get a chance to truly experience a first. Just things that this team broke up and went past and succumbed in 30 years, and we were able to experience that together in our second season, to me, holds a special place. We started with, this show had no subscribers, studio had, enough. But like, man, when you think about it, like everything that we've done, everything that we've given away, the amount of people that we have done stuff for, and, just how some people have been invested in our show. We've got people who donated tickets, stuff like that, man.
That was sweet.
Shout out to my boy, Big John Allen.
Crazy.
Crazy as fuck, ain't he?
He crazy. He cool. He keep it real though. That's why I like him.
Listen, John sent me a bottle of 1792 foolproof. Hey, listen, 1792, and a $2 bill. So big shout out to John, man, who blessed one of our fans, dude, with tickets to a Jacksonville game, had them at the 50-yard line, You know, that man, I can't remember who got the tickets, but I know they showed us the pictures and they loved it. So just showing the growth of our show, and now just the expectations, and just think just to see what else we got coming, coming our way, and just see how long we gonna go. So season 2, it's a wrap for me.
Bobby Bless, closing remarks, my friend.
Hey, there's a couple things, so I'm gonna try to be brief. The number one is I'm a superstitious guy, as y'all probably know. I didn't open up this damn hat till the end of the season, but like it's in other things too. Like there's no way just my Lions heart and my love of just doing the podcast where I can't correlate the start of our podcast with the Lions' success. Even though we started off, remember, like Nate said, we didn't know if we was gonna stick on or not. But the Lions, the Lions was 1-6 getting that butt whoop, and we were still on here talking about it and stuff. And then they caught fire, and they just been on the shit ever since that. So I'm coordinating with that. And Nate, we always talk about morale. Nate, before I did the podcast, I used to be in the group roasting the Lions. Every little bad thing I see, I'd be like, no, this is a bun. He got to go. He got to go. But it's funny how the winning is. It's been a long time since I did a negative video on the Lions, right? So I used to have 150 comments on my videos and stuff like that. Just motherfuckers just couldn't even. I'd be on their butt so bad. They'd be like, you ain't even a Lions fan. Then they go on my page and try to steal my stuff and all that kind of stuff.
I remember you got Google search. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. I was gonna send them over my dad's house because I'm a junior. My dad is about 275 pounds, 6'3". Boy, they wouldn't have been happy. But yeah, and then just the team thing, like other than the Detroit Lions, I haven't really had that much support of a job other than Walmart where I work and on the hunt. So it's like for me, it's like Walmart, on the hunt, the Lions. You feel me? That was my order of like priorities and whatnot. Even if it was talking about the Lions, but other than that, this is the only team I've been on just for my accord. I do this for free for my free time. You know what I mean? Right. So it's got to have some love into it. And the last but not least, man, I remember being at work and stuff happened, and I had to run them, hide, and look at my phone and see what happened going on ESPN. I don't even got to do that no more. I can just go in the group chat and see what's going on. Like literally, I didn't have to go. I found out that Ben Johnson was staying through the group chat, so I didn't even have to stop working and go hide. I heard it in my ear on the Hunt podcast link. I looked. I said, "Oh shoot, Ben Johnson's staying." So you guys can put ESPN. Y'all got me about to lay off some ESPN workers and stuff. So, just my brothers. I get different angles of the Detroit Lions. Some I be thinking far-fetched. Some I agree with. Some I totally don't agree with. But when one of us end up being right, even with Reggie, out of the four of us, we have these different concepts of how we feel the Lions. One of us gonna be right.
Right.
So when so when they end up being right, I'm like, oh, Reggie said that, or oh, that's what Elijah said, or oh, that's what Nate said. You can catch my wife Brenda. I'm telling her that all the time. So what us 4 bullets, if we shoot at the target, one of us gonna hit. So
right.
It's just fun. I'm hanging with a group of experts on my free time. That's it,
for my closing remarks, I just want to give out some thank yous. So first, I want to say thank you to the folks at home. The folks who watch this show. Every time that we post an episode,
Oh yeah, my mom your number one fan too. I keep forgetting to say that too. She your number one fan, Elijah.
I greatly appreciate that. And again, the folks at home who watch this show, I've been blown away. I really have. I've been blown away with the views. I've been blown away with the subscriber count. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
Shay
the
B,
Facebook page. I mean,
4 Horsemen.
it's been crazy. It's been crazy. And again, I cannot thank y'all enough from the bottom of my heart, because I know that y'all are here for the Lions. You're here for the Lions discussion, but I also know y'all check out the other stuff too on our channel. And so I can't thank you enough for that. As somebody who has always longed to be a creative person, you know, to see people invest in you as a person, it really means a lot. And my team, you know, invest in my team. And that's who I want to thank next is my team. You know, I wear this Slinky Dog hoodie all the time, right? It's not because it's got my name on it. It's because of what that logo represents. It represents approximately 30 people, 30 people who make up this studio. And my life is blessed by every single one of those people in different ways. And so I want to thank Bobby Bless, because Bobby does so much for this show that y'all don't even realize. Like the short videos that have gotten thousands of views. That ain't me.
Right.
That ain't me. That's Bobby Bless doing that. That's Bobby Bless.
Bobby get it done, boy.
So I want to thank Bobby for that. The fact that we can go as long as we go every single episode, that is because of Reggie Funches.
The numbers, man.
Reggie Funches says, "Hey, Elijah, I'll take care of the Zoom. Don't you even worry about that."
Our trenches guy.
Every year when that bill comes up, Reggie says, "I got it, Elijah. Don't worry about it." So I can't thank Reggie enough for that. I know that he wasn't able to be here tonight, but I just want to say, Reggie, I love you, man. Bobby, I love you. And Nate, man, you know I love you. And I gotta say, Nate, because Nate believed in me. You know, I came to Nate with this idea. I said, let's do this show. Nate has got 40 million other things that he does. Okay? And Nate said, you know what? You know what? Where's Messina? I don't know where that is. It doesn't matter. I'm going to do this thing with you. Okay. And if that conversation doesn't happen, we're not here 63 episodes later. So with all that being said, again.
Yeah, Nate said, Bob, we're going to do this podcast. You down? I said, yeah, just tell me when you need me. I will figure it
out. and, you know, I also want to throw out there that, you know, Nate and Bobby have become, you know, even bigger pieces of the puzzle. You know, I've got a team for the studio that covers the podcast, covers the movies, all that, right? I've got a leadership council of like,
I got so much stuff done too.
But I have a leadership council of like 6 people, right? Nate and Bobby are on that leadership council.
You just reminded me too. I gotta get that other stuff.
This is not to stress you out, Nate. Don't worry.
I just thought about that. My head just said do. But
I'm just saying though, you know, I any success I have is because of the people that are behind me and the people that are beside me. And that's why I always say, it's not that you work for the studio, we work together. At the end of the day, we work together. So with that being said, I'm going to close this out the way we've been closing out the last couple of episodes here on the show. Hey, if you come across a situation this week where you and your skill set can make it a little bit better, you now not only have the ability, you have the responsibility. So go out there and make a difference. And my friends, remember, every day you wake up is another opportunity to make your life a little bit better and the lives of those you love. My friends, that is episode 63. That is season 2. It's a wrap. We will be back after the Super Bowl.